Here are the numbers from the 1st of August of what the Lok Sabha would look like if elections were held at this moment. The NDA at 307, the UPA at 125 and others at 111. The BJP and the NDA comfortably placed above the majority mark. But Rajdeep, things change on the 10th of August once Nitish Kumar has jumped and joined the Mahagathbandhan.
That's right, because if you look at just what has happened between August 1st and 10th, on the 9th of August, we did a snap poll for Bihar, and the entire poll, remember, has more than 1,25,000 respondents. Bihar around 2,500 in the snap poll. The numbers have reduced. The NDA is below 300, and that hasn't happened too often in the last 8 years in the mood of the nation. 286. The NDA comes down to 286, and NDA really now is only the BJP. UPA 146 is gaining 20 odd, others 111. So when you add 111 others that include the likes of Mamata Banerjee and Akhilesh Yadav, 146 plus 111 becomes 257. And for the first time, therefore, if Bihar is replicated in a few other states, we actually might have a contest in 2024. So the big story, Rahul, is that as a result of Bihar, the NDA has gone down, UPA slightly up, but NDA is still way ahead of the UPA. So NDA is still ahead of the halfway mark. Anti-incumbency, even after 9 years, doesn't seem to be enough against Mr. Modi for us to say he won't have a hat-trick. He could well have a hat-trick.
He seems
in
well
May 2024.
placed at this moment. If you're a betting man, the BJP and Prime Minister Modi well placed, it seems, for a third term. But remember, in politics, things can change, and they can change fast, as they did in Bihar. Let's now look at who is most suited to be the next Prime Minister. And in this question, 53% of the respondents we spoke to voted for Prime Minister Modi, 9% wanted Rahul Gandhi, 7% wanted Arvind Kejriwal. So more than half the respondents in this India Today Mood of the Nation opinion poll very clearly want Prime Minister Modi. Let's now come to who is most satisfied with his chief minister. So who are you most satisfied with? And here, and this, Rajdeep, baffles me no end. And I know there's a very bright chance that Naveen Patnaik, sitting in Bhubaneswar, could well be watching, because he's actually managed to increase his rating from 71 to 78 between the last Mood of the Nation opinion poll and now. Rachingappa, you know Naveen well. How in the world does he pull this off at a time when anti-incumbency is catching up with people? Sitting where he is, largely inside his house and office, he's managed to get his popularity up by about 7 points from 71 to 78.
Yeah, I think it's good governance, and he does his work quietly. He doesn't shout too much. He's there. I mean, you can see him. There's no corruption charges. There's no taint against him personally in any of these years that he's ruled. And without doubt, if you look at the way he conducts business over there, there is a quiet confidence that he goes. I think people trust him. He's been 20 years there, and people believe in him.
He's the Modi of Odisha.
He's not only that, you know, he defies another aspect of Indian politics. We believe that second generation, third generation dynasts generally tend to be subject to the law of diminishing returns. Naveen Patnaik has defied that. He's defied every stereotype of today's politicians. He's been in power for more than 2 decades. Some would say he, like Jagan Reddy, have started their own party. You know, the Biju Janata Dal may have carried the name of Biju Patnaik, but it is Naveen Patnaik's party, like YSRCP is of Jagan Mohan. But you're right, these are remarkable numbers after 20 odd years. The other two, of course, Hemanta Biswa Sarma and MK Stalin won elections only last year. So they've been in power for...
no, but for Hemanta to come number 2 is quite credible.
See, Rajdeep, but the all factor for Odisha, I think, Naveen Patnaik, which is the last congressman you heard about in Odisha after Mr. Giridhar Gamang gave that one vote in parliament against Vajpayee. Tell me one name in that 20 years you have seen. You can talk about a leader in Odisha. There is nobody.
Sure. I think
there is nobody there.
So I think
obviously it will all be
that's
for,
right.
For for Mr. Naveen Patnaik.
You know, the last major leader of the opposition really was Janki Ballabh Patnaik, and that is a very long time ago. We must tell our viewers that these are numbers of people from their home state.
Correct.
So people from Odisha have chosen Naveen Patnaik, from Assam Himanto, and from Tamil Nadu Stalin. But when you look at the big picture, India's best CM you're looking at national numbers, which is more recognition, I think, of their brand value.
No, this is about who people nationally perceive as India's best chief minister. And whoever does well here, huge credit to that leader, because he's been able to build a perception for himself nationally. And there, Yogi Adityanath comes in at number 1 with 40%. He's more than double the lead of the number 2, which is Arvind Kejriwal at 22. Not more than double, but almost double. And you've got Mamata Banerjee at 9. Yogi Adityanath, who is relatively new, second-term chief minister, at number 1 with such a clear, dominating majority, is a phenomenal achievement, Rajdeep.
It is, but it also shows the high recognition that he now has, that he's a pan-India figure. Yogi Adityanath is Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, but is a pan-India figure. The first Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh in more than 3 decades to get re-elected, and after a full 5-year term. So I think that gives him a huge sort of political equity, which he is slowly but surely catching on. Because the interesting question that at some stage we will have in Mood of the Nation is Modi ke baad kaun? Who after Modi? And there I'm sure at some stage Yogi Adityanath will be someone to look at very closely, even within the BJP ranks.
No, but what's very clear is that every action of his, Rahul Srivastava, is geared at how his action will be perceived nationally. Whether it is going after this Goon Tyagi, or it is the whole bulldozer action, no matter what you think of it in terms of retributive law, the fact is that he's playing for big stakes. He knows it. Modi sitting in Ahmedabad knew it. Yogi knows it as well.
Because Rahul, best suited to, just adding to that, best suited to succeed Modi. Amit Shah 25%. This is within BJP. Yogi Adityanath 24%. Nitin Gadkari 15%. So Yogi Adityanath will now see himself, and he's young. What is he? 49, 50? So he's, in a position to perhaps be a leader of the future for the BJP at least.
Rahul, actually, you have hit the nail on the head. Last time you heard a chief minister like this was Narendra Modi, who was being emulated, who had a model. I say definitely Arvind Kejriwal is being talked about. There is a Delhi model, but Yogi Adityanath, when he does bulldozer, you find suddenly bulldozer appear in Karnataka, you find them in Madhya Pradesh, you find them in several states, bulldozers are coming up.
Is that a positive or a negative? No, 1 minute. Is he not also, when you say bulldozer, it's a polarizing symbol as well, right?
Rajdeep, it is not matter of positive. It's a matter of positive for the BJP. There is a national narrative which the BJP has been benefiting from, which is the strident,
or strong on law and order.
No, but he's capturing imagination, Rajdeep.
Capturing
Bomai is saying, Yogi model apply kar dunga ab Karnataka mein.
He is the only BJP.
Coming to your question, Rajdeep, where you mentioned...
I just want to make a point. Only Yogi Chief Minister for that BJP strident narrative who's taken from UP to various states to campaign. For that strident narrative, he's taken to campaign. He's the only one.